So many different ways you can be serving tacos. Yes, the original is amazing, but you know me, I like to add a little bit of an Asian spin on things. So I've collected my favorite Asian-ish tacos, and we're gonna have ourselves a taco marathon, which is so much better than running a marathon. I promise you that. We have crispy fried fish tacos, beef bulgogi tacos, spicy grilled fish tacos, and my personal favorite, wok-flamed tequila shrimp tacos. How do you get the crispiest fish for the ultimate fish taco? Well, here we go, my friends. We're gonna walk you through it step by step. This is my crispy fried fish taco. So to get that ultimate crispy beer battered fish, there are a few pretty simple but very key things you need to do to get it just right. Before we get to the fish batter though, let's get going on a few of our little condiments for the end, because you want to have everything prepped and ready to go by the time that fish comes out of that hot oil. So we're going to make some pickled onion first of all, and all we need to do is, this is so simple, you have your lovely little sort of slices of red onion, and you just need a lime, and then a little sprinkling of salt. Give that a mix. And I love that these guys go like a beautiful, almost like translucent ruby red kind of color. They really make a nice little picture on our taco a little bit later on. Second thing we need to do is make a very simple little creamy sauce. So I like to start out with some Japanese mayo. This is some Kewpie mayonnaise. And again, another squeeze of lime and a little bit of salt. Give that a mix. All right, so that is pretty much it for our condiments, guys. Now we're getting down to the business end. We need to make really crispy, amazing battered fish. So for the beer batter, this is like my go-to beer batter. I love this one. It is a recipe I use constantly in my kitchen. There's a few things you gotta do to get it right though. So everything here, even your flour, should be really cold. When the cold battered fish hits the hot oil, that's when we're gonna get the really lovely crispiness. So flour's been in the fridge, my fish's been in the fridge, my beer, everything. Now, let's get going on mixing the batter itself. So I've got some all-purpose flour here, or plain flour. And then I like to cut my plain flour with a little bit of corn flour, or cornstarch if you're in the US. So this guy is gonna lighten up the flour a little bit more and make things more kind of airy and crispy and all that kind of thing. Now my other little secret weapon here is some baking powder. Now the baking powder, when it hits that hot oil, starts to make everything kind of go all bubbly and crispy and lovely. So another little secret there. And then we want some salt for seasoning, of course. Just whisk together those dry ingredients. And now here comes the beer. So again, this is another little secret weapon for us to get some real crispiness, because the beer is obviously fizzy. So we've got more bubbles and things kind of exploding in the hot oil. Well, we don't want an explosion. We want little explosions. And that's gonna keep everything bubbly and crispy again. So pour that in. And you want just enough beer here to kind of keep things, you actually want this batter to be a lot thinner than you think it should be. So this is the kind of texture that you're looking for. It's almost like, kind of like a heavy cream or a pouring cream. All right, and we're good to go. Let's get our fish prepped up. Now here's one more little crucial step that I think a lot of recipes miss out on. If you just go and dip that fish into the batter straight away, the fish has still got kind of, it's a little bit moist on the outside. It's harder for that batter to stick to it. So what I like to do is just dip my fish into just a little bit of corn flour, just lightly toss them around, make sure you really pat that excess off. And now comes the really fun part, guys. So take one of your fish fillets, dip it into that batter, and it should feel really nice and cold, and then straight into your hot oil. Oh, I love that sizzle. Okay, keep going. You want to work fast here. You don't want that batter to warm up too much. And now check out that golden deliciousness. I mean, I just love it. It really is a little pot of sizzling joy here. All right, keep turning those fish fillets over. And I can already tell, I can feel how firm and crispy that batter is. Now these only need about 3 or 4 minutes, and you know what's really magic about this kind of battering is just imagine what's happening. So that fish inside is steaming, so it's going to stay nice and juicy and moist, and then the outside is getting all crisp and lovely. So it really is pure magic. Now everything is looking beautifully golden. I am going to grab these out. Just want to drain them on some paper towel. And then you want to hit them with a little bit of salt, just like anything that comes out of some hot oil. That's always a good idea. And now just have a listen to this crispiness. I mean, I think I've said crispy way too many times in this video. But it's what we're doing. Anyway, someone write down a whole lot of adjectives below that are not crispy that mean the same thing. That would be great, thank you. Listen to this though. That is the sound of pure happiness, my friends. But let's open one of these guys up so you can actually see what I'm talking about with the fish inside and that steam and the crispiness. So I'll just pull one of these guys open. So now let's put these bad boys together. All right, starting off with my tortillas. Now I've had these keeping warm in a little tea towel, and let's put one of those. Flour or corn, up to you. I'm doing flour today. And now a little bit of shredded cabbage. Now I like to go in with my sauces on the bottom because I don't want my fish to get all soggy. So, you know, I'm all about structural integrity. So just a drizzle of our mayonnaise sauce. And there's been nothing spicy yet. So I know, you know, what is that? I'm going to use my coconut sriracha here as my hot sauce. You guys can use whatever hot sauce you love. I particularly love this one, and it is hot. Now a little bit of avocado. I'm going to pop our fish on top. And then have a look at our red onion here. Look at that beautiful pop of pink color. Oh, I love it. Now just a little sprinkling of coriander. Now we just need a wedge of lime. So there you go, guys, my crispiest beer battered fish taco. I can't wait to get into this one. Okay, squeeze of lime. Oh, look at that, so exciting. This is probably gonna get messy. I'll apologize in advance. Holy smokes. That is such a huge explosion of flavor. There is so much going on here. There is that crispy fish and that beautiful like salty onion, and then the spicy sauce and the creamy sauce and the, wow. All the things, guys, all the things. Oh, this is so good. Oh. Yum. Beautifully seared, marinated steak combined with a whole bunch of epic taco fillings. These are my Bulgogi beef tacos. This is such a great taco to have when you're in a hurry. It's really easy to prepare and tastes so good. All right, let's do our uber quick marinade first of all. I'm gonna start off with some soy sauce, some mirin, sesame oil, a little dash of sugar, and some sesame seeds. And then some aromatics here. I've got some garlic and some ginger. Just give that a mix. Now you can use any kind of tender steak cut that you like. I've just got some strip loin or some sirloin pieces here. I like mine really thick, so I get chunky pieces. Okay, now get those guys luxuriating in that marinade. And this marinade's really intense. All soy-based marinades to me do not need very long at all, so I'm just gonna set those aside while I make some sauce for our tacos. First off, some mayonnaise. Now I'm using the Japanese style of mayonnaise, that Kewpie mayonnaise that you would have seen in the Asian section. I like its tangy sweetness here, but any kind of mayonnaise is fine. And then here's the real little kicker. I'm using some Korean gochujang chili paste. So this is a fermented chili paste. It adds a kick of spicy heat, but also has a load of umami flavors and salty flavors as well. It's all round a good guy to have in the kitchen. And then some sesame oil and some mirin. And just watch as this magically turns into a bright red, beautiful taco sauce. Now that's fiery, yum. Now when your pan's nice and hot, just grab a hold of one of those hunks of steak and let's get them sizzling. Now there's a little trick to cooking with a soy and sugar-based marinade. The sugar is obviously going to caramelize really quickly. So what I like to do is get a really nice hard sear on both sides first, so about a minute each side. Then turn the heat down really low and keep basting and flipping those steaks on a low heat until they're cooked to your liking. So a little bit of that marinade on those steaks each time. Oh, and see that beautiful color we've got already? Yum. Oh, that was good. Now, if you've got a fat cap on the side of your steaks, don't forget to sear that as well. Now, while my steak's cooking, I like to go ahead and heat up my tortillas and just get them into a pan till they're nice and hot and fluffy. And then to keep them nice and warm, I like to wrap them all up nice and snug in a plate and a tea towel. Okay, so the steak is looking so perfect. Look at that color. Oh, amazing. Now what you want to do here is exercise some patience, even though that steak does look ridiculously amazing, and just let those rest for a couple of minutes. Allow those juices to spread back out into the meat. All right, let's dig into our hefty hunk of meat here. Wow, look at that color and how juicy that steak is. I love the contrast between that pink middle and that uber charred outside. So good. And now you will have some resting juices on your plate left, and you cannot waste that, my friends. That needs to be poured all over the top. Now to assemble, we want to take some of that spicy mayo we made. And some Chinese cabbage, or Napa cabbage, depending on where you are. Some of our beef, some kimchi. Oh, my fridge is never without kimchi. So much flavor and such a little condiment. And now a good sprinkling of sesame seeds and some spring onion. And there you go, my friends. That is one speedy taco. And let's see if we've made it taste any good. Wow, that is so good. I was trying to take a small mouthful so that I could talk to you about it, but I couldn't help it. That was a massive bite. The spicy sauce, that beef, it's so tender, and that beautiful marinade, everything. And the kimchi, really good, guys. You really need to make this one. There's no dainty way to eat a taco, really. Spice crusted, juicy salmon, the perfect filling for what I think is a ridiculously good taco. These are my spicy grilled fish tacos. One of the challenges I think for fish tacos is how do you get a beautiful kind of blackened, like slightly charry, smoky fish, but still nice and juicy in the middle. I mean, I don't want a dry fish taco, so this is my ultimate little method for making a grilled fish taco. We're gonna start off first of all with some spices, and of course, because I'm me, I'm using some Asian spices. We're going in with some Szechuan peppercorns first of all. I just want to dry toast these because that's going to release all of their aromas and flavors and amazingness. Cumin, just some cumin seeds. Would help if the stove was on. Now keep these guys moving in the pan, and I want to toast them up until I can start to smell their lovely fragrance. They sort of get a little smoky as well. All right, so these are looking good, and I'm just going to use my mortar and pestle to grind them to a fine powder. I love that smell. It's a very kind of northern Chinese combination, the cumin and the Szechuan peppercorns. Ah, delightful. Now this is the kind of sort of texture you're going for. Now let's pop that out onto a plate. And to that, I'm going to add some chili powder. So I'm using this Korean gochugaru chili powder. It's beautiful, red and vibrant, but you know, any kind of chili powder that you want to use is totally fine. And you can use a mild or a hot, depending on what you like. And we want some salt here as well. And now some lime. Give that a mix, and you're going to kind of get a like kind of thick paste, spicy kind of paste here. Now add in your salmon pieces, and then kind of, you know, rub all of that spicy goodness all over those pieces. I mean, I hate to use the word massage, but it's like kind of what you're doing. Ah, look at those pieces, a thing of beauty already. I love that color. Okay, before we get those cooking, I'm gonna make a couple of other little condiments that we want for our tacos. Perfect for these fresh herbaceous? I said herbaceous salad.
Herbaceous, I rarely get a chance to use that word.
You really don't. I now have the opportunity. So first up, I want like a herbaceous. I just can't say that word without laughing. Maybe I won't say it. Think of a different word. So first up, I want to make like a fresh herby kind of onion mix. Of course, I want some onions first of all. And I've got a mix of herbs here, so I'm going to do some coriander and some mint. I just want a really nice fine chop on these. Now just give that a mix. Okay, so that one's done. Next up, we want to do a lime mayonnaise. So start off with some mayonnaise. Now I'm using a Japanese Kewpie mayonnaise here. You could use whichever mayonnaise you like best. And I want some lime as well. Squeeze that in and mix. So now we're at the fun part. Let's do the salmon. Okay, so what you want is a barbecue grill plate if you want to do this outdoors, or I just have like a cast iron grill plate here, and I want a little bit of oil in there. And then I just like to really just give that a bit of a wipe. I don't want too much oil here, but I do want to make sure my fish doesn't stick. Now the thing that's going to help you here is that you want a really high heat. If the heat is too low, that's when you get fish sticking. So nice and hot, and then add in your fish. Now things are going to get a little smoky here. If you're one of those people that coughs because of the chili, now would be the time to open the windows. But what I want is to develop a really beautiful, dark, blackened kind of char on the outside of the salmon. So leave it sit for a good couple of minutes. If you go too soon, the fish will stick. So let the heat do its thing. Now just before I flip, I like to kind of get in with a spatula and just really kind of scoop up the bottom because I don't want to lose any of that spice crust to the pan. So just get under here and now you can do the flip. Oh, look at that colour, so perfect. So, you know, that kind of blackened, smoky situation is going to be pure bliss. Yum. Now I want this second side to go for, again, another 2 minutes. So what we're trying to do here is develop that charred exterior or crust, if you like, and then we'll worry about cooking the salmon through a bit later. Make sure you do the sides as well. So now that we've got that beautiful crust on the exterior, I want you to turn the heat off and then just let those guys just kind of rest up there on the grill plate and just turn them every so often if you want, and we'll just let that fish cook through really gently through the center. So when you can give that salmon a bit of a squeeze and it still feels soft through the middle but a little firm. You know what I mean? It's sort of like a, I don't know, like a medium rare steak kind of would feel. Right, so that's looking good. What you want to do is take those off the heat. Okay, so before we break into that salmon and assemble our tacos, I just want to quickly heat up my tortillas. Now with this direct flame way of heating, we're kind of getting, again, that kind of smokiness, which I really love for these tacos. And now let's get in here, shall we? Okay, so I want one of my tortillas, some lettuce, and then let's get into this salmon. Oh. Yes, look at that lovely, juicy interior, just cooked through. That beautiful spice crust on the top. Oh, that is just, you know, it's just the simple things sometimes that make you so happy. Okay, so we want some of that lovely salmon onto our little bed of lettuce here. And our onion herbs. So herbaceous. Some of our lime mayonnaise. And then for me, there's got to be hot sauce. I'm using my coconut sriracha because I love how spicy and tangy and lovely it is, but you use whatever hot sauce you love at your house. Good drizzle on that for me. And there you go. Keep building out those tacos. You need lots of these. Well, I need lots of these, particularly because, you know, I'm me and I can't just have one taco. Now, just a tiny little bit more heat here. I'm going to add just a sprinkling of chili. That's optional. And some extra lime wedges. And there you go, guys. A grilled fish taco with some little Asian accents, of course. But wow, this is one dish that I am dying to eat. Who am I kidding? I'm always dying to eat the dishes, but you know what I mean. This is smelling amazing, by the way. Those extra herbs and that kind of like smokiness from the salmon and the tortilla is killing me right now. Let's go. Crazy, crazy good. Yum. That salmon is just perfect. The spiciness, that crusty kind of smokiness. And the herbs, so totally epic. You guys have to try this one. Oh my god, so good. Yum. Okay, let's cut so I can eat more of these. Now first off, we're going to get those prawns singing with flavour. So I'm going to make a really simple marinade, some garlic and some coriander roots. So much flavour in those coriander roots. And if your store only stocks the coriander to the stem, then just use some of that stem as well. So into there, and I want a little bit of salt as well. I want to get that flavour paste straight on those prawns. And then I also want to add some cumin, some ground cumin, and a little bit of sugar, which is going to help with the caramelization in our wok. And because we're doing tequila prawns and tequila loves lime, I'm going to add some lime zest and some lime juice to this. All right, now just mix that through, and already those smells, the garlic, the coriander, the cumin, so good. Now because this marinade is so action-packed, it really doesn't need a lot of time. In fact, I'm just gonna let it sit for a couple of minutes while I finish off my other bits and pieces for the tacos. So I'm gonna use some shredded cabbage. You could use lettuce if you like. Totally up to you. A little smattering of some roughly chopped coriander leaves. I want some avocado because I just love that little bit of creaminess. Now a bit more lime juice over that. Just gonna toss this together, break up some of that avocado. So I have some warm tortillas, I'm just keeping them warm under a tea towel. I have some chopped red onion, and so I am ready to go for the fun part. So I know it's a wok, I know we're cooking Mexican food, but I love the wok because it gets a super high heat, which gives us a really beautiful charriness on the outside of our prawns. But you could do this in just a normal, regular frying pan, cast iron skillet, any of those things is good. Just make sure that your pan gets really hot. Okay, in go my prawns. The smell of this already, so good. Now, these guys have tons of flavour with this marinade, so if you wanted to leave the tequila out, no problem, just leave it out. But what the alcohol does is the alcohol burns away, and then it leaves behind a beautiful fragrance, aroma, umami flavours. So we're not just doing it because it's fun. Well, it is fun too, but we're not just doing it because it's fun, we're adding the tequila because it also adds flavour. These prawns are looking really good, so I'm going to add in our tequila. Woo! There you go. The magic of cooking. So much flavour, you will not even believe. Amazing. We're ready to assemble, so I just want a couple of these warm tortillas, some of our cabbage and avocado mix. And these prawns really are beauties, my goodness. Those on there. A little bit of red onion, a few coriander sprigs. Now, as you know, I like things spicy. We're yet to see the spice. So what you need is your favorite hot sauce. It can be an Asian hot sauce, a Mexican hot sauce. I happen to have this truly epic coconut sriracha sauce, which I have made myself. If you can't get a hold of it though, just use your own choice of hot sauce and just a few wedges of lime. And that, my friends, is one perfect taco in my book.
Thank you, bartender. Good ready.
All right. Talk to you.
Talk to you.
Do you want another one?